Do you like a good quiz? Well, here is one. I do too, even though I don't always have the right answers. Are we talking about air? Could be. What about relationships? Close, but not quite. What about ICT? It certainly concerns people who are getting closer and closer. How many glasses do you have on the daily? What about your body mass? You got it now? Where's Eloy, by the way?
Water. You no get enemy. Water no get enemy. Water.
You no get enemy. Can I join you?
Please, just one more.
Water. You no get enemy.
Okay, so that iconic song is by who?
Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Gone but never forgotten.
Yes, indeed. We continue to celebrate him, and it encapsulates everything. That song actually encapsulates everything about our show today. Water has no enemies. Abi, water is your enemy.
My friend.
Okay.
Isn't water your friend as well?
My friend.
And all this talk about water and icons, it makes my throat parched. What about you?
I want some too.
Let's get our
Let's
water.
sit down, take our water.
After all, everyone believes that a glass a day is a fantastic way to start off.
Yep.
How many glasses of water do you take on the daily, Patience?
Well, I try to do 6, but even at that, at times, it doesn't work, but I'm deliberate. I try to be deliberate because I know it's good for me, it's good for my skin tone, it's good for my health.
Indeed, the benefits of water cannot be overemphasized. In fact, research reveals that our body mass is mostly made up of water. For the males, they say 60%. For women, it's 55%. Very close, but I thought women had more because we have the curves, or don't we? But surprisingly, in spite of how familiar this word is to us, and even the look, odorless, colorless, we've got to hear that some parts of Nigeria don't have water every time as much as they need.
Especially given the fact that Nigeria is blessed with bodies of water, Nigeria is blessed with natural resources. What is the challenge? Why don't we have accessible, safe water on tables across the nation? This is one of the big questions. You know, I like to ask big questions every week. The question is, what is going on with our water resources? Are we harnessing it enough? Our background will be delving deep into what the water situation in Nigeria is. It is by Francis Ogbe, and he spoke to Dr. Nicholas Igwe, who told us so much about wash and other water-related issues. It will kickstart and set the tone for our conversation today.
It's in a critical situation, I must say, because based on the Wash Norm Report 2021, about 23% of the entire population do not have access to drinking water in their houses. And only about 10% of Nigerian population has access to sanitation facilities, hygiene facilities, and water all combined. So if you look at that figure, you can see that we are in a critical situation when it comes to water quality that is available to the people. Our new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his wisdom as well, immediately he came in, he indirectly also declared state of emergency in water, because you remember he mentioned something about agriculture, and you cannot talk about water or, food security without talking about, water. People do not understand that water is not just water for drinking purposes. The water, or what we call SDGs, cuts across different SDGs. You cannot talk about equality in education when you do not have water in schools. That girls in particular have to travel like almost 2 hours every day for them to have access to water, come home, and they go to school. You cannot talk about food security without water. You need water for irrigation. You need water for all the agricultural activities. You cannot talk about water and sanitation when you don't even talk about it from the point of health. Many people are dying every day in different hospitals because of either lack of water at all, lack of quality water in the hospitals. Even the power in the energy sector, water also plays critical role there. There is a water crisis because when people do not have access to water to drink in their different homes, when people do not even have quality water to drink, when the mortality rate of people dying almost every day because of lack of access to quality water, what do you call it? You call it crisis, both from the federal side and even the state level side as well, the local government side as well. People do not have access to water. Water has been positioned as being a social commodity, which is wrong. But water should be positioned as a commodity, something that people can invest in and get returns on. Lack of private sector involvement in water is also creating a huge gap that we are talking about, both the infrastructural gaps, the efficiency gaps, the sustainability gaps, and so on and so forth, especially the financial gap in the sector. Because the government alone cannot do that. We need about 1.6 trillion naira to inject into the water sector for 5 years if we must get it right. It is only in Nigeria that people randomly will just go and drill borehole without proper permit or getting permission from the relevant authorities. Even businesses, people that use water, maybe water is their raw material for whatever business that they are doing, you don't just go and abstract water. You need to talk to the relevant authorities to be sure that, okay, this is the depth of that you have to go into, and this is what you need the water for, and this is the volume of water you are abstracting in a day. It's not just about paying a particular fee for doing that. It's for making sure that we have data. Water education is very important. The fact that water is clear does not mean that it is clean. Water might be clear, but might have a lot of microorganisms inside it, which can cause diarrhea, cholera, typhoid, and other related diseases. So water education is very key. And it's not only for the schools, also for adults.
See, they're fetching some clean water. This is what they use for their cooking and drinking.
We don't have policies. The government seems to be doing their bit in terms of strengthening political will. But there should be political will across all sectors of the government. Government needs to start to create enabling environments. But the problem remains. No private sector will come in when we don't have strong policies. No private sector will come in when there is no regulatory framework that they can be sure that if they invest X amount of money, if not for anything, they should be able to take their invested capital out.
Weekend Deal today is captioned Water Availability in Nigeria. Weekend Deal.
It's interesting to listen to Dr. Igwe. He has opened up a very interesting and in-depth conversation. And as we get your messages, we want to know your reaction nationwide, even outside our shores. We know you are all watching. Let us know what you think. But at this time, let's let Talatu share what she found. Talatu has been doing her investigation Abuja-wise. She visited Karu, and there's talk about the fact that there seems to be water in other parts of Abuja. Karu seems to have been left out. Talatu, please share. What else did you find?
Water is essential to all environmental, human, and social processes. It is a key element for life itself and development. Its fundamental role in food and sanitation makes it irreplaceable commodity. However, the scarcity of pipe-borne water in most communities has become a thing of concern, as the taps have now dried up without water running for a long time.
Before now, we were having pipe-borne water. And I think since May last year, the thing happened. For so long now, they are going to fix it. Even if it is, I'm an engineer by the grace of God, even if it is something to be constructed, at least it would have been infected by now.
For over 3, 4, 5 months now, there have not been any water. There's been water outage from, let me say, Asokoro axis through Nyanya, Karu Federal Housings, both phase 1, phase 2. Everywhere that water is supplied to in this area beyond Asokoro, there has not been water.
The absence of clean and safe water poses a significant challenge to the people, as they are left at the mercy of water vendors, popularly known as Merua, who get the water from boreholes.
So I've been buying from Merua at an exorbitant rate daily. Sometimes in my house I spend up to 2,400.
People here, people in the entire neighborhood, Nyanya, Karu, Federal Housing, phase 1, phase 2, everywhere that water is supplied in this region had been dependent on Merua. And of course, the cost of Merua is so high.
Attention has not been paid to water supply, unfortunately. And my fear is that those who have had the opportunity of leading FCT seem to think that Abuja is like the states, where it doesn't matter, people have to find a way of getting water, they go to streams to fetch water and all, and they do boreholes in their homes. And Abuja is not like that. Number one, Abuja cannot have sustainable water supply from boreholes for the following reason. One, what we have here is basement complex. So you just drill a little bit and you hit the granite. So the aquifer is small. The reservoir we have underground within Abuja city is small. That's why our boreholes in the city will be a bit shallow. Number two, at the beginning, most of the lower points and the streams in Abuja served as collection for our sewage. Some sewage networks have not been connected till date. So we still have discharges into the streams. So the streams are the feeders for the aquifers, and the streams are highly contaminated.
This tap was once running, providing the community with water for domestic use and other purposes. One cannot but wonder and ask, what is the cause of this scarcity?
The challenge you have is treatment capacity. And unfortunately, in Nigeria generally, we don't seem to value treating water. Investment in water is something that is taken for granted, especially in the states, to the point that you can see a state government building a borehole and celebrating it with more money than they used to even do the borehole. That is very tragic. But in FCT, and I want to say this, especially in FCC, Federal Capital City, even in citing the capital in Abuja here, water was one of the critical considerations of the panel. Now, they had to look for source of water and capacity to treat the water that will be sufficient for all who live in this city. We have enough treatment capacity to provide water for all that live in the FCC. We do have. But that capacity is presently challenged. If you, as journalists, you can go to the Lower Asman treatment plant and have a look. Some of the plants have been stripped for rehabilitation since last year, and nothing has happened. So until something happens, there will be shortages in water supply.
Water is life. It is a necessity for a healthy life and healthy society.
Water indeed is life, and as a nation we must invest in our water infrastructure. There's no other way to do it. To talk about this and more is our first guest. He's an environmentalist and a development expert, Mr. Paddy Ezeala. Let's meet him virtually. Okay, let's meet our guests physically. Mr. Paddy, you're welcome to the Weekend Studios.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
I'm always happy to be here.
You're welcome. So let me start. Do you think we have a water crisis in Nigeria?
Yes, I must say so. If you understand the criticality of water in human existence, because what happens now is that you remember there is a scarcity of water when you are thirsty. But when you are sick, you don't remember that bad water may have caused the sickness. So that's the way it is. We have water crisis considering the predominance of some diseases, cholera and all, waterborne diseases all over the place. People go to the hospital, they say, what are you suffering from? They say it's typhoid and malaria. So what causes typhoid? So that's it. So people are kind of taking a lot of things for granted, and incidentally, even the authorities, because we have not been able to prioritize water, considering the importance of water. It's a cross-cutting issue, both vertically and horizontally. You know, cross-cutting in the sense that every level of government should be involved. And also, many ministries are involved, not just a question of Ministry of Water Resources or something like that, health, agriculture, many other ministries. So that's why I say it's a cross-cutting issue. Globally, international organizations seem to be taking things more seriously, you know, and some of the measures taken by the government, various governments we have, seem to favor people who are residing in urban centers, and the people in the rural areas are completely forgotten. That is not right. And what happens now is that you are subsidizing the rich, because whether you like it or not, government puts into water more than they get financially. So they are subsidizing it indirectly, and subsidizing to pump water to Asokoro and to many other places, while people in Zamfara, Imo, and Bayelsa, Ogun State are not, the rural communities in those areas are not getting the right, not just water, but potable water.
Potable water.
Yeah, that's it. So.
But can we go back into Nigeria's history? You know, it's just, I mean, like last decade, we began to hear words like crisis, talking about water. Was it always there? Is it that we mishandled or mismanaged what we had, or did not grow, did not develop in the way we ought to have, using ingenious innovations that brought us where we are today? Or is it that we never had?
It is not rocket science. It's a question of knowing what the needs really are. Because we've had some development plans over the years. Go and read it and see where they put water. It's prioritized. Because when you set up a city, every city will grow with time. And the infrastructure in that city must grow with the population in the city. So I don't think the basic infrastructure is growing with it. And water is really badly hit. And people tend to resort to self-help. People dig boreholes, and all those ones have their own challenges too. Okay. You know, you bring out water, it's not treated, nobody tests.
Okay, now you mentioned borehole. There's something that Wantana was talking about with the director of the Water Institute. And I think I heard something like boreholes, people just dig boreholes as they like, that there ought to be checks and balances. Wantana, let's see what you found.
H2O. This colorless, odorless, life-sustaining substance has become a luxury to many homes in Nigeria over the years. Access to clean, safe drinking water has gradually become a mirage, even as the country is blessed with so many water bodies.
Federal government has tried as much as possible to provide it in terms of reservoirs and dams that you can use. Yes. Now, you don't expect the same federal government now to be sending it to your streets. States can do it at that level. And that's what the states are supposed to do, provide the potable water for the people. That's what they are supposed to do.
The earth and its riches, including its beautiful water bodies, has been provided to sustain life. But man's relationship with the environment has not been completely friendly.
In our home, the women, the children, everybody will have a role. How do you discharge your waste, your kitchen waste? How do you discharge your toilet waste? Do you just sit everywhere and everything is just making polluting the environment? No. We must learn to take care of our environment for our own benefit and for the benefit of, generations yet unborn.
They all end up polluting our natural habitat and water bodies, which many Nigerians without access to pipe-borne waters rely on for their everyday life.
Our conversation is still on the front burner, but we'll go on a break. Please don't go away.
We're talking about water and its availability so that we can drink and we can use for other sanitation purposes, not just in the urban areas, but we're talking about nationwide. Before we took that break, we were having a chat with Mr. Paddy Eziala. He's an environmentalist, a development expert. He's also the editor-in-chief of the Development Agenda magazine. Perhaps he will tell us a bit about what he's been doing and others of his ilk to further inform, enlighten, and educate Nigerians about what we ought to do. Because some people waste water, Mr. Paddy. Yes, some Nigerians waste water.
That's another thing. When we don't, some waste water, but some don't have enough. You see, so that's the way it is. Those who have excess. People use 5 buckets of water to wash a car. People cannot even quantify. They just keep pumping waste because they've got it. But some people don't even have pipes, not to talk of pipe-borne water. So that's the problem. So I must preach further investment in water, making provision of water, investments in water more attractive for various sectors to participate so that the rural communities can have water and proliferation of all kinds of diseases would reduce. And when we have water at times will be more important than even food.
Yes.
Without food, you survive for some days. Without water, I don't know how many days you can go. So that is it. So we must prioritize water, both as individuals, even as government, and international organizations, when they are mapping out their programs, should also lay emphasis on water. I know about Sanitation and Water for All partnership, and they are doing a lot of things. I also know that sometime in 2020, even in the midst of COVID pandemic, they had to invite all the ministers of finance in Africa to deliberate and say what portion, what amount of what budgetary provision that they have made for water, because it's critical to human survival. So we are not prioritizing water, sanitation and health, wash they call it. We are not doing that, and it has led to a lot of things. I remember that the federal government of Nigeria in 2018 launched the National Action Plan for Water, Sanitation and Health, that will have a 13-year program that in 2030 water should be accessible to a lot of people, most Nigerians, if not all Nigerians. And the gap we have now is enormous. I said earlier, 60 million Nigerians don't have access to potable water.
Okay.
80 million are having difficulty accessing water.
Okay, that number is actually staggering. That number breaks my heart all the time. It's staggering. But let's allow NTA Enugu join this conversation now as they show the faces of thirst.
will almost use your saliva to survive in this town. Now use sachet water to wash clothes in Enugu. God, where are these children, sir? Okay. Ifeoma!
Mommy.
Yes, mommy. Where are you people coming from?
To Chimobi's place.
Who is Chimobi?
Chimobi now, that's our school friend.
Yeah, just look at the whole compound dirty. No water to bathe, no water to mop the house, no water to even wash. Why don't you go and look for water? Or will we survive on using sachet water to wash? How are we going to survive like this?
I'm tired of this situation. Water.
Where is daddy? Your daddy? Okay, it's true, sir. Your father is bathing. He's in the bathroom.
He's bathing. So I'll use his water after bathing.
Who uses the water?
What do you mean?
It's me that is supposed to use the dirty water.
Why is always you? You used yesterday, now it's
What is the problem now? I don't want to hear Pim go and get jerry cans. If you know anywhere, anywhere you're going to source water, please go and look for water.
Let's look for water.
Where are these children, Informer? Okay.
What is it?
Please, can somebody get me one more scoop of water?
What again? Please manage the one you have there now. You know there is no water in this house.
What exactly are you talking about? They are soap in my eyes and they are complaining about water. Get me water to wash my face.
Okay, since you're inconsiderate, I'll get the last water in this house. You know it's sachet water you've been using. Let me go and drink water. I don't know. I take. If he finishes, it's finished. Oh, Enugu. The day we will see water in this town, the way I will dance.
Please, my sister, since night my baby have been running temperature. They say it's because of the dirty water that we have been taking that she's having diarrhea. Please, I want to wash some of her dirt. My children have left to look for water. You know this water
this
everywhere.
Water problem. Come and see. Come, let me show you.
Everywhere is smelling in my house. What do I do?
Something I wish I can. I would have helped you.
What do I do?
I'll be praying for your baby too.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, never.
Enugu, we said tomorrow is here.
Tomorrow is here. Thank God. The governor of
Daddy, New heaven
Are you Jesus Christ? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. In this Enugu. God,
hey, today water is now running in some places in Enugu. That means that very soon there will be water running in the entire Enugu metropolis and outside Enugu. He said it and he did it. That means that tomorrow is here. Sweetheart, I am happy that water got into Enugu now happened in my own lifetime.
Yes.
Hey!
Yes.
Hey!
I think I will say there's an improvement because we found out that the last administration, to an extent, water was not available. But under this administration, under Peter Mbas's administration, we will get water. But the issue that is not regular.
So, but within the core of the city, like this new layout, Asata, Achara layout, one, you have water. Independence layout, you have water.
In the past administration, we are finding it difficult to source a good water in our different homes, to the extent that we go as far as a 9th mile to get water, which we use in our different homes. But in this present time, a good number of people in the city are enjoying a good water supply from the government, to the extent that somebody like me, I have abandoned my plastic tank, buy water from 9th mile. This present administration is, doing everything good to give us water.
True to his promise, the governor was able to give the people of Enugu at least 60 million liters of water daily. And I heard it stand from my research, because I visited 9th Mile water crash, where it has turned to ultra modern facility now, where the source produce at least 60 million liters a day. And of course, I also understand that we have Eva Valley. We also have OG water scheme. Some parts of the metropolis currently have water, because I also carried out my research. I carried out opinion sampling. I went from house to house, asking people street on different occasions, New Haven, some parts of Admani Road, Independence, some parts of Independence layout, of course, GRA, some part of Ababa, so Transekolum. They have water, but not all the places.
Has informed us of the beacon of hope and light in Enugu, and I know that in many other states where hitherto there was a lack of water, I know that they are coming on board swiftly to change the status quo.
Okay, so we're talking about water, and we've established the fact that water is key. Water is extremely important. So joining the conversation is the Honorable Minister for Water Resources, Engineer Professor Joseph Telumu Utev. Thelma had a chat with him earlier. Let's see this.
As we talk about the availability of water in Nigeria, it's a privilege and honor to have a chat with the Honorable Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Engineer Professor Joseph Telumu Utev. It's great to have this chat with you, sir.
You're welcome.
Availability of water, everyone is talking about it, but first off, let's talk about water and its significance in life and for those who are living.
Water is life. And water is very critical in every facet of our life. Water management is a critical aspect of the country's development, because water is being needed in the sustenance of agriculture in Nigeria, in the provision of clean drinking water, also in the support of industrial activities. It also helps in the ecological balance of our environment. The Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation is saddled with the responsibility of managing water resources in Nigeria at the national level. However, the subnational is being needed, and we are calling on the state government and the local government to also key in enhancing that participation in Nigeria.
Without doubt, I'm sure that the state governors and other key actors at the state level will contribute their own quota to national development. When we heard that you were appointed Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, many Nigerians heaved a sigh of relief because of your antecedent. First, as Commissioner in Benue State, Water Resources and Environment, and then again as Executive Director Engineering at the Lower Benue River Basin Development Authority, where we know you performed optimally. So now we are waiting keenly to see how you hit the ground running. We do hear, according to the World Health Organization, that 70 million Nigerians don't have access to clean water, and 114 million people in Nigeria don't have access to sanitation facilities. Is that a fact? And if it is, what is being done?
Let me first of all address the water sector. We all know that water is very, very important. And before the coming in of the present administration, about 67% had access to clean water supply services. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, as we came on board for 2024 appropriation, adequate funds has been approved by Mr. President for the provision of water facilities for Nigerians, because he has promised in his own dividends of democracy to Nigerians that he will make available the basic amenities for Nigerians. And in that drive, he has approved funds for the provision of adequate water for Nigerians. And we, as a Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, we have put in place all the mechanisms to implement the promises that Mr. President have made for Nigerians. And we are believing that by the end of the year 2024, about 80% of Nigerians will have adequate water supply as is being approved. When we talk about open defecation, before the coming in of the present administration, about 105 local governments we are open defecation free. Now, as we are speaking, we have 117 local governments that we are open defecation free. And we have put all the measures in place. Immediately we came on board, I summoned all the 12 river basins which are within our purview, and they cover the whole 36 states of the Federation, including FCT. I called their management for a meeting that the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President must be achieved. When we are talking about food security, we are talking about job creation, we are talking about economic growth. Our ministry is very key in the provision of this basic mandate. And because of that, we gave them the directive that they should go back to their various geopolitical areas within their own cycles and look at what they can do in a different way to improve not only the water supply component that Nigerians are needing for. They also try to see how we can improve the open defecation free status of Nigeria. We didn't stop at that. We backed that up in going around all the 12 river basins in Nigeria. We take a tour to see how what they are doing and how we can improve from that. We make sure that budgetary provision for 2024 captures the mandate of this present administration. So, as we are talking now, we have mapped up, our staffs have gone around all the 33 states to identify, because some states governors have written to us that yes, some local governments within their states have attained a status of open defecation free. So we are arranging now to visit those states to ascertain the level of the attainment of that status before we can now declare them open defecation free. And the campaign for Clean Nigerian program that is ongoing, we are leaving no stone unturned. We have visited the Traditional Council institution. We have also visited the state governments. We are now going down to the local governments and the individual settlements and associations. We are also engaging different ministries. We have been liaising with the Ministry of Youth. We are also liaising with the Ministry of Women Affairs. Because when you are talking about the effects of open defecation, it affects mostly women and girls. So we are bringing on board the Ministry of Women Affairs and then the Ministry of Youth to also to key into this project to see how collectively we can work to attain that 2025 target of Nigeria attaining open defecation free status.
Honorable Minister Sam, You have a master's degree and a PhD in civil engineering, sort of water engineering. Many are talking about the fact that when we want to do engineering here with regard to water, oftentimes we get artisans from out of the country. Being a pioneer rector for the Federal Polytechnic in Benue State, how are you situating students in Polytechnic and University to ensure that they also study water engineering as well as civil engineering so that they can contribute their own quota to national development and our growth as a nation?
Before I became the Honorable Commissioner for Water Resources and Environment in Benue State, I lectured with the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Benue State, where I was the Director, Center for Entrepreneurship from the university. Where, under my leadership, I established about 7 workshops. 7 workshops in the civil, that is production of capstones, blocks. We established a workshop in the catering section, in the tailoring section, and other sections. And the aim of establishing these workshops was for training of students and the public, both in the artisans and in the entrepreneurship sector. So that question you ask is very clear. With time, the manpower of Nigeria will be enhanced, because in the area of civil engineering, we have studied and have trained people up to degree level, up to doctorate level. We have actually trained students. As I'm talking now, some of my students are in the industry. Some of them are here in FCT, building bridges, buildings, and other infrastructures, both for FCT and other parts of the country. So they are doing very well. And not alone. In the water sector, we also have a lot of students. Some of the designs that we carry out are done by my students. And we believe that with more of this coming up, Nigeria will be a better place.
We do hope you take a national outlook in the nearest future to see that what you have done in Benue will be replicated nationwide.
Yes.
Okay, I also understand that the former Minister for Water Resources has implemented a roadmap for water, 2016 to 2030, 6 years to go. Where are we now?
We have different programs that are in place, that the implementation is ongoing. We have the P-WASH program, that is Partnership for Expanded Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. This program targeted majorly the rural community, provision of water in the rural community. About 67% of Nigerians have access to adequate water supply. What are we doing? We have not extended this into the rural dwellers because they are the major people that lacks this particular amenity, clean water. Yes, the urban also are part of it, and because of that, we have another program that we call the sub-wash. The sub-wash also targets both the urban and the rural dwellers. And as we are looking at it now, what is actually the challenge in the urban setting? A lot of people have migrated from the rural to the urban, maybe in search of greener pasture, or maybe in search of social amenities. So we send our staffs to go there to see and take statistics of what is actually the problem and what is the demand. What is the required water requirement?
What did they find?
They have found out that yet in certain particular cities, there is actually population growth. And because of that, we have taken that into consideration for the 2024 budget that we have prepared. And its implementation, we are believing that that problem will be solved. So the Renew Hope agenda that Mr. President has for Nigerians, and by graciously approving the funds that we have now, we are believing that that problem is completely solved.
Interesting. What a welcome development. Some say we are over 200 million people. Some are saying 220. And some research is also thrusting up some more information that in another 10, 20 years, we could be double this number. People are calling for proactive measures, for innovation, for diversity. What new innovations are you bringing to the table to ensure that we don't go back to the challenges we experienced before?
We are, at the moment now, we have prioritized the demands of Nigerians and what is going to be our challenge in the nearest future. We are taking cognizance of that. And because of that, we have earmarked some places, we are identifying some places in Nigeria where we can come up with some dams. These dams, one, they will help in different phases. One of the importance of dams is, one, the flooding that has been taking place in the country. We are bringing us some dams that can contain this excess water that causes damage as a result of the flooding. The second issue is that the dams are going to be used for irrigation. Last year in November, we flagged up the 2023-2024 irrigation, dry season farming across the whole country. And we did that. Why? The reason is that agriculture, which is one of the backbone of Nigerian economy, cannot be sustained without water. So we are trying to see how we can provide water to sustain that agriculture. That water that will boost the food production. If there is enough food for our domestic consumption and export, that will also help our productivity. Because they say a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. It's only when you get filled and you are healthy that you can also produce well. That will enhance the productivity of the citizens of Nigeria. And when the productivity is being enhanced, that will also enhance the economy of the nation. So these dams will now come up now. We have challenge of climate resilience, climate change. We are coming up with new innovations, trying to see how we can change from the combustion energy production to solar-powered engines. So you can see that even in our dams now, we are bringing in the solar components into our dam, trying to see how the turbines can also be powered. As the water drives now from the dams, powers our turbines. Let's try to see how we can now also convert this in to create the solar energy aspect of it, that we can now send them to our farms. By using them to irrigate our farms, we use them to also power our tractors, our machineries that are into food production. So that by doing that, we can also create jobs for our teeming population, which is one of the priorities of the present administration, job creation. Because we know that when jobs are being created and more people are being engaged into productivity, it will also solve the issue of insecurity. Because most times when people are idle, it gingers them into some acts that are not too wise for the country. So these are some of the innovations we are bringing on board to see how it will not only solve the immediate challenge that we're having now, but for future enhancement.
That sounds very encouraging. Yes. Nigerians will be very, very happy to hear all of what you have said. And we are hopeful because in times past, we've had very interesting and amazing proposals and talk that encourage people. And then when it was time to action it out, we saw little or nothing. But we do know that this time will be different, Honorable Minister.
This administration is not a talking administration. It's a doing administration. We have said it. Our priorities has been marked by the end of the year 2024. The statistics that are made available now are going to change. We have 117 local governments that are open defecation free. By the end of 2024, we're not talking about 2025 yet. By the end of 2024, we are all going to see the statistics that we will bring on board for local government that are open defecation free. We are now saying 67% of Nigerians have access to clean water. We are saying by the end of 2024, we're not talking about the end of this administration. We're talking about the end of 2024. The statistics will definitely change. That is where Nigerians will hold us by our words. That is what we are saying.
That's very good to know. We are watching, we are waiting, we are hopeful. Thank you for this chat, Honorable Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation. Engineer Professor Joseph Telumo Hussein.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that's very interesting. My takeaway is the fact that he said something about building the water infrastructure in order to create jobs for Nigeria. I mean, that's my takeaway. And like Thelma said, we are watching and we are hoping that one day it will become a reality in our country, Nigeria. Thank you. Messages are coming in. Let me take one or two messages. Somebody said, this is from Comrade Ngala from Bruno State, and he said, water is life, let's drink safe and clean water. And he goes ahead to sing our song, water you no get enemy, water no get enemy, true last we all love water. And somebody said, how can we get water? This, please always tell us your name and where you're reaching out from. He said, water is essential, but in our rural areas there is no water. Please, government, do something. Of course, that's why we are speaking out on this show. We speak out in order for the right authorities to hear and do something. Our guest is still here. Thelma had an interesting chat with the Honorable Minister. And what do you think? But again, while you're speaking to that, I also want you to speak to the fact that government alone cannot do it. Sure. The private sector, are they coming in? Are they doing anything? I mean, even if it's their community service, you know, social corporate responsibility.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. CSR, corporate social responsibility. Yeah. Yes. That one they should do. Also understand that corporate organizations are in business. First of all, then after succeeding in business, making profit, they now do CSR. Yeah. So many corporate organizations, especially the huge ones, huge corporations, yes, should be able to focus on water because of the positive effect, knock-on effect. Good water, we said earlier, is good health, and on and on. So they should do it. But first of all, let us look at this. World Bank in the year 2020 said that there is a deficit in funding for water, sanitation and health globally to the tune of 114 billion US dollars. So, and that out of that, Africa alone accounts for $40 billion. So whether we think we have done much or not, we have really not done as much as we think we should do because there is a gap. Okay? And our government has not been left out. As I said earlier, there is the National Action Plan for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. And what is left is for state governments and local governments to domesticate this strategy and take it to the grassroots.
Even though it's not perfect at urban centers, but they are mostly negatively impacted in the rural areas.
Exactly.
And because of the challenge they are facing, we will have more migration over time if we don't give them what they need. But we ask you to hold your thought, Mr. Isiala. A break beckons now. We'll take it when we come back. There's more from our guests. Don't go away.
It's Weekend Deal. Okay, so our guest is still here and he has more to tell us. Mr. Hadi Isiala, you've established the fact that we have a whole lot of gaps as far as water and its delivery to our people is concerned. How do we move forward with this? Water is very essential for us to lay back and let it be. So what do we do?
The way forward, we already have a national action plan. Now we have to pick it up. Okay. You know, it's not old, 2018. So dust it up, do an evaluation. Where are we after how many years now? 3 years, 4 years. So we must look at it again. Now,
6 years.
Every 6 years, every local government, every state must domesticate it for the state. Every local government will. But we also have other units of other development units. For instance, we have town unions, have traditional rulers, so we have to really find out how communities are functioning and key into existing structures in those communities. Because the situation whereby everybody has a borehole, you know, every house has a borehole. It's not environmentally friendly. It's not environment friendly at all. It's not something that should be recommended. The scientists will tell you how dangerous it is, especially when the boreholes are not as deep as they're supposed to be.
We even heard them engineers saying that there's something called basement cement.
Exactly.
That before you dig far, you will meet
so such things, I don't think developed countries is non-existent. In fact, it is the role of government to know the kind of water everybody in that country drinks.
Yes.
Is the first thing. Yes, you must be accountable. You should know what water everybody is drinking. Otherwise, you can come down with a pandemic that you cannot explain.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that. The people are dying every day. So some people even die without knowing what has killed them.
We don't want that.
So we must take these programs down to the grassroots and make sure that it is being implemented fully.
That the impact is felt there.
Yes, with regard to funding, we must, from the budgetary level, make sure we make adequate provision for water. Water has wider definition. It's water, sanitation, and health. It goes all the way to open defecation, many things. So water is not just for drinking.
Yes.
So that's it. So you should understand that. So we must do that.
We heard Mr. Paddy now. He said that federal is okay. Urban areas are not doing so badly. But state-wise, local government-wise, community-wise, rural area-wise, there needs to be an accelerated effort to ensure that everyone has water, or else we may have an outbreak of diseases that could be fatal sometimes.
Yes, and also I'm happy with what the minister said. Indeed. He seems to have it under grasp. He's a water man. From everything I heard, the man has he's on top of his turf, and we are hoping, like you said, we are watching, Honorable Minister, we are hoping that we'll get the water Nigeria deserves. Water just saves life. Water indeed is life.
We also want to, it was an honor to talk to the minister, really. We had to go to him. But you know that Nigerians watch our programs. Oftentimes, they want to speak to those who are at the helm of affairs. And they do it through our feedback line. Going forward, it will be our hope and our prayer that captains of industry, those at the helm of affairs in ministries, will willingly come and
sit on our yellow couch,
so that Nigerians can hear it from them, like they say, literally from the horse's mouth, and they can give them their feedback right there, live, in real time.
Yes, I mean, that's what our show is about. It's the gift that keeps giving, giving, and giving.
Until we see you again tomorrow, keep drinking clean and potable water. God bless Nigeria. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.